Hi, fellow birdies, and welcome back to another edition of Mr. Songbird's Writing Mukbang. In today's video, I'm going to be having some whipped tofu pasta, which I've never heard of before. I'm definitely curious about. While going over some, basically a grab bag of, reader questions. One moment. First, let's take a bite. That's quite good. It definitely got cheesiness to it. I think it tastes Parmesan. Very good. This reminds me of my favorite, mac and cheese, except for more Parmesan, less cheddar. Now, first question: How do I get my inspiration for a great book? Let's say it's gonna be a simple but a little bit complex answer. Okay, I do it by reading, watching, and thinking. Specifically, I read books, I read stories I like. I think about, okay, what do I like about this? And conversely, what would I wish I could change? Like, if there's a plot in a given series that I'm not as fond of, it will often make me think, okay, how could this have been different? How do I wish this was different? And just by thinking about that, using that to write your own stuff, even just fan fiction, it creates a fertile bed that you can grow from. Right. Just by thinking about it, reading, watching, even if you're just writing fan fiction, that will develop a fertile mind to grow stories from. And sometimes just what story would interest me? Sometimes just distill a basic concept and work from there. Now, second question: Am I a self-published author? I am. My first book is The Mage Trials. You can find the link in the description below. Currently, it's solely on Amazon, although I might change that at some point in the future. That's the first book in the Path of the Magi series. Currently, I'm editing the second book. At the time you watch this. Next question: What is my favorite book? That's a hard question. I definitely enjoy quite a few books. Everything from the Brothers Price, the Harry Potter series, some of the Star Wars novelizations. I read so much of Timothy Zahn's work. And of course, I enjoyed, the Song of Fire and Ice series. So, do I have a favorite one? It's hard to say. I enjoy a lot of things, and there are certain series that, if another, one were to come out, I'd immediately, buy it. Those series would probably be Song of Fire and Ice, the Harry Potter series. Let's see now. So the next question is, I want to become a story writer sometimes. Any tips or ideas or advice? I have a lot of tips and ideas and advice. But let's see if I can think of some very basic ones that'll, get you started. Like basically, if you want to find more, you can always watch the other videos I go over stuff. Let's see. I suppose the first and foremost one is it's okay to screw up. It's okay to write a story that is absolutely terrible. Just make sure to always work to improve it. Especially if you're just writing the first draft. My first drafts are garbage. They've been garbage for a long time. They'll continue to be garbage for a long time. Because my goal is not to write a great first draft. My goal is to write a good final draft. A great final draft. So in short, for the first draft, feel free to just write the basic bones of the story. If the grammar is off, that is fine. If the punctuation is terrible, sure. If you accidentally miscapitalize, you're totally okay with that. Second bit of advice, consistency is very important. It's better to write 10 minutes a day every day than to write 2 hours one day and then never come back to it, or come back 2 months later. Not only because of time, but also because it helps you create that fertile ground for ideas. Eventually, if you keep at a consistent habit, you will train your mind so that, how to put this, rather than it being, I need to start writing, it eventually becomes, what will I start writing? In the past, many times it would be, okay, what am I going to, basically, what am I going to write? Now it's more of a, what am I going to write? It increases the creativity because rather than trying to focus on, okay, I need to make sure I set aside time to write X, you're going to write X, so instead your brain's like, okay, what am I writing about? Let's do that. Third tip, and this is a very simple one. Just remember, your audience, your readers, they will never see your absolutely awful first draft. They'll only see the final one. Keep that in mind. Next question. Did I have multiple endings in my first book? Let's see now. At present, no. I have considered it carefully. One of the difficulties that multiple endings, though, has is, let me see if I can explain this. Basically, your character is not just the final decision, but they're the sum of every decision they made until that point. So, let's take the original trilogy for Star Wars. Now, I'm sure there's a potential ending where, I'd say spoiler one, but I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of you have watched Star Wars, or at least know the basic plot. I'm sure there's a potential ending where Luke kills Darth Vader and joins the Emperor for all of the 5 minutes before the Death Star goes kaboom. But given how Luke has grown as a character and their story, that ending would not make sense. Easily. You'd have to probably build it up ahead of time. And what that means is building a story that has multiple endings means that you have to build a story that could lead to multiple endings. Because, how should I put this? If the only ending that makes sense is one, you can't really do an alternate ending without adjusting the parts before it. I said, you could have a part where Luke becomes the brand new Lord Vader, or he teams up with Darth Vader to overthrow the Emperor. But you probably have to introduce more ambiguity into Luke earlier on. More doubt. More things for Darth Vader or the Emperor both to prey upon. It's why most of the stories that have multiple endings tend to be choose your adventure or visual novel kind of stories or RPGs. Because the character can make different decisions and you can, at various points in the story, so all I have to do is have this, tangent continue off a bit further. Have I ever thought about being a teacher? Yes, actually. In fact, I used to tutor, back when I was significantly younger and had a bit more hair up here. The main obstacle was, by the time I decided, teacher could be the career for me, at the time at least. There's different reasons now, but at the time, it was pretty much, I'd already put in years to get my master's and had to get an education degree. Plus, I felt like I had to, and I just couldn't afford to spend years working towards an education degree. And see, that's an example I was talking about, as far as multiple endings. There's an entirely possible different world where I'm a teacher, straight up teacher, in classroom kind of thing. But that would require me to make choices earlier on that allowed me to go towards a teacher role, or make significant changes now to get to that point. Now, do I come up with a beginning, middle, pre-end, and ending before I even start? Or do I come up with those as I go? The answer is, to an extent, it depends. For some of the stories I write, I already have the end in mind from the very beginning. Conversely, for others, I have a concept I really like, and I explore that concept as the story goes on. That said, I do try to outline where the story is going before I write my way there. And as for how I do it, I've been trying out this technique lately where basically, should I explain this? I write the outline straight up, as in like, this is what happens, this is what happens after that, this is what happens after that. But then for each step in the outline, what I've been doing is I kind of reply to those with a question for each one. Like, for example, let's say that the main character, I have the plot, the main character kills their rival. I might go, how do they kill their rival? Why do they kill their rival? You know, what effects will occur as a result of them killing their rival? You know, stuff like that. Like, and like what obstacles they face along the way. That makes you want to write a story about a character that kills their rival. You know, and it's their vision quest, and then it's like, okay, what next? Like, what would happen if Vegeta, utterly defeated Goku to the point that he could never be beaten again by him? What would he do next? What is plot? And like basically, how would he grow? Because if that's the case, he'd probably become the new main defender of Earth, of course. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling there. Point is, there's a lot of people who say you should right by the seat of your pants. There's a lot of people who say you should only outline. Both work. Let's say you can start from the end, you can start from the beginning, you can start from the middle. And that reminds me of a book I need to reread, which is called, I believe, Write Your Story from the Middle. I'm going to reread that one, I think, next time I do some studying. But whichever method you choose, it's okay. Remember, the goal is to create a skeleton in the first draft that can be tweaked and improved. Just get some bones and then slap some meat on them. Gotta say, as dubious as I was, this is a pretty good meal. Just right balancing cheese and noodle. But that's all the time I've got for today's video. I'm gonna pop out for now. I'll see you folks in the next video. Oh yeah, and please click the red button down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to receive notifications. I'll see you folks in the next video. This is Charles, signing off. Bye folks.